Welcome to Tyler Walker Romance. You're about to dive into one of Miss Tyler's free full audiobooks. She always knows how to make you forget your life with handsome alpha male billionaire heroes and sassy strong heroines who grab love with both hands. In order for this content to be free, we have to take out the dirty details. Otherwise, we risk disrupting this platform's rules and guidelines. Buy the unabridged version of any Tyler Walker audiobook from tylerwalker.com, and with code SAVE40, you can get 40% off any digital product at checkout. Take this moment to subscribe to the channel, and remember that liking and commenting is what makes these free full audiobooks possible. Thank you for choosing to treat yourself with Miss Tyler. Chapter 1. Jazmine. It may not be the most spacious office in the world, but it's mine. The bare walls stare back at me like a warning not to get too comfortable. To hell with that, I say. Shrug it off, Jasmine. This is your domain, and you're the master of it. Month to month, anyway. The window is nice, even if it looks directly into the apartments across the street. It would be nice to get some trees, but maybe I'll bring in a potted plant instead. The natural light is welcome in any event, though I realize I'm going to need to put blinds up or reconcile myself to the possibility of perpetually catching people screwing across the street. Maybe they're clients. I sit down on the floor and begin to assemble the pieces of my desk out of the box. The Wi-Fi is already glowing in the corner, so the hard work of the day is well behind me. Now it's just a matter of figuring out which way these particle board pieces go and which little screws match up with which tools. The very idea of it makes me sweat. Kevin used to handle all of the furniture assembly, forever grumbling that we should invest in some real furniture and stop throwing our money away on disposable corporate crap. Ever the charmer, Kevin. It turns out he was among the more disposable elements in my life, and when he left, he took the bulk of that crappy furniture with him. So joke's on him. Honestly, most of renting this office is about getting a legitimate address and out of my apartment. Soulmates mail has to go somewhere, and you don't really want the kind of people who frequent dating apps to know where you live. Or sleep. Though my clientele is better than most. We use an algorithm that does a pretty great job of speaking to the personality of our client base rather than just giving them a place to put up pictures and cruise for anonymous sex. There are other apps for that. And while I'd hate to cast aspersions, it's nice to think I'm helping people find something that will last, or at least last longer than Kevin. Either in the relationship or in bed. Sorry, Kevin. My phone vibrates on the windowsill. Grateful to leave the pieces of desk scattered around the carpet, I scramble over to see who it is. Crestel Enterprises. Hello. Hello, is this Jasmine? It is. Jasmine, hi. It's Charlotte from Crestel. I just wanted to check in with you about the 2:30. Can we push it back to 3? Susan really wants to meet with you, but today has been crazy. 3 is fine for me, I say, giving up a little prayer for the reprieve. Susan isn't the only one having a crazy day. Thanks, Jasmine. Can't wait to see you. Bye. Charlotte's phone voice drives me absolutely crazy, but she runs interference for one of the best advertising firms in the city, so I'm willing to deal with it. Anyone who wants to deal with Crestel has to navigate past their gatekeeper, and Charlotte manages her little sphere of power without tipping over into pure tyranny, so I'll take it. The desk comes together in relatively short order, making me wonder what I ever saw in my bearded ex-boyfriend. Setting one of the file boxes on my newly minted workstation, I dig in and root out the folder with everything I'm going to need for my meeting with Susan. Data sheets, a mission statement, returns, our marketing materials to date, and assorted other files from the inception of Soulmates until about 4 minutes before I walked in today. It's an impressive stack, and I have a relative certainty that no one over at Crestel is going to look at anything beyond my cover sheet. Still, One has to walk in ready to impress. On the off chance that she actually wants to comb over the materials, I've got the whole thing color tabbed and indexed. How else are we going to make it to number 1? Maybe I should head out now. That gives me ample time to catch the train, walk the 3 blocks up, maybe nab a coffee to keep my hands from quaking in the interview. Who knows? If I'm lucky, I might even have time to throw up in the bathroom and brush my teeth before heading into the meeting. Stop being so nervous, Jasmine. You're not like this. It's just a meeting. Actually, think of it as though you are interviewing her. After all, she wants successful clients, right? It only benefits her if she takes on an entrepreneur who is already showing dividends and growth. And since our launch, Soulmates has climbed steadily among the serious dating apps. The field has grown, and we've met that growth ably, so stop worrying. I pull on my smart little jacket, new, and make my way to the elevators. Admittedly, I turned the wrong way down the hallway at first, but that's easily remedied. Anyway, nobody saw. Pressing the button, I hug the files to my chest and tap my toes. You know what? This is going to go well. I can feel it. The bell dings, but before the doors are even fully open, a man steams out and runs straight into me, bowling me over and sending my tabbed files fluttering into chaos. As they settle around me, I look up, rage tickling at the edges of my green eyes. Woe betide whoever this lumbering idiot is. 6 feet 2 inches of pure dolt peer down at me. Ian Carmichael, the creator of The Love Connection, another app on the rise. I'm speechless. Excuse you. I burn up at him from my prostrate position. You are excused, he sniffs. You really need to pay attention to where you are going. My jaw drops. He looks uneasy in his quip, which only makes me angrier. You ran into me. My words are hot, and I'm struggling not to launch into something that's going to rile me up before my meeting. Maybe if you weren't so short, people could actually see you. It's a schoolyard comeback, and I gape at his sheer childishness. He shrugs, gives me a smirk, and steps back onto the elevator. It's not even my floor. He winks at me just before the doors close. I flop onto my back and bite my tongue to keep from screaming and pounding the floor. What an insufferable dude, I whisper to the ceiling. He would have to be to pirate his name from a cut-rate 90s dating show. God, I hope he's not in my building for long. Sitting up, I look at the cascade of papers strewn about me on the floor. There's not time to tuck everything back into pristine order, so I just have to line the colors up as much as possible and hope Susan doesn't want to go over every single page. At the very least, I can make sure the index is in order. She'll have to settle for that.
Chapter 2. Ian. I bought a new tuxedo for this event, and I must say that I'm looking snazzy. Tonight, I wore a white tuxedo, as I've always thought they were better looking than the black ones. I opted for an emerald green bow, as it has always been one of my favorite colors. I checked myself out in the mirror one last time, before heading out into the main ballroom. There are already people showing up, and I want to look my best. I've always had a passion for children, and this is a great way to make a difference in a lot of kids' lives. Huge events like these aren't really my thing, but hey, it's for the kids. This morning started off rough. I really should have apologized to the woman this morning and stopped to help her pick up her papers, but damn, she opened her smart mouth before I could even say, "Excuse me." One thing I can't stand is people who have a smart mouth. Sarcasm is one thing, but a nasty smart mouth is something else. Of course, it didn't help that I was already late for a meeting this morning. My advertisement reps have some great ideas on how to grow my dating service. Coming out of the bathroom, I feel like someone slapped me in the face. It is her again, Jazmin Landers. She is the CEO of my main competition. Her dating service does pretty well also. I guess there are a lot of lonely people in this city and the surrounding areas. She is busy setting up the donated items for the silent auction. I did run into her this morning. I really should apologize. Jasmine is moving a vase of flowers from the auction table to one of the other tables when I come up behind her. I swear I did not mean to scare her. But when I tap her on the shoulder and say, "Hi, Jasmine," she jumps, drops the vase, breaking it, which sends water and flowers everywhere. It even splashes her dress. "It's you again." "Of course it is," she says, looking around at the mess on the floor. She barely glances at me as she bends to start picking up the broken pieces. Her eyes flash lightning, and her lips pressed together tightly, the way my grandmother's did when she was about to whoop us. "I just came over to apologize for this morning, and now for scaring you." I try to keep my voice even, but I know the apology comes off as very snotty. I just walk away before anything else comes out of my mouth. The ballroom is filling up, and I take my place on the stage at the front of the room. "Good evening, everyone. I'm glad you can make it. As you know, this gala was put together so that we can help raise money for some new equipment for the pediatric cancer ward, as well as some new toys and other items for the kids. I don't know about you, but I would go stark raving mad if I had to stay in the hospital all the time and had nothing to occupy myself." There were several nods from the audience, and I continue. "To that end, there is a silent auction for several amazing items that were donated by the community. 100% of the money bid for these items will go to the hospital. I want to personally thank every business that donated items." This brought a round of applause. "Let's dig into this sumptuous meal." That brought even more applause. Everyone seems to have a great time. After the dinner dishes are cleared, a DJ gets on stage to play a variety of music, from oldies to classical to country. People are on the dance floor line dancing, doing the two-step and the mashed potato. The auction was doing really well, too. Jasmine was dancing with everyone. She obviously didn't come with a date. Maybe I should offer to give her a discount on my service so she can find someone. However, I did notice that she looks great. She might be a total witch, but she's a beautiful witch. Her dark green dress hugs her body perfectly and makes her emerald green eyes pop out. It's only a coincidence that my bow and cummerbund match her dress. Her eyes are very expressive. I certainly was able to see them burning fiery hot when she was angry. As the evening comes to a close, I go back to my post on stage. Jasmine is a professional as she links arms with me as we walk to the microphone so she can announce the winners of the silent auction. One would never guess that we are not friends. The hospital representative takes over the microphone once we make our announcements. The fundraiser is a success. We are going to extend the fundraiser for another month. We really want to put in a couple of rooms for the patients where they can go to get out of their hospital room. For the younger kids, it would be a room with some toys, books, games, and other fun items. For the older kids, there would be video games, televisions, and books and games that are appropriate for their age. It would be a sanctuary for them. Everyone in the audience nods. This sounds like a wonderful idea. To that end, we would like to propose a contest. Whichever person or company can raise the most amount of money for the rooms and for the items in it will have his or her name put on the door. This is a great publicity opportunity, not to mention a great cause. This will give me the edge I need over Soulmates, the dating service ran by Jazmine. I look over at Jasmine, who glances at me at the same time. I smile. I'm going to cream her.
Chapter 3. Jasmine, that man is an insufferable, arrogant jerk. As soon as the competition is announced, he looks over at me as if it is a foregone conclusion that he will win. I really want to wipe that smirk off of his face with a chair. I'm not even a violent person, but that man gets under my skin. It has been an exhausting day, and I just want to go home, get undressed, shower, and go to bed. I can hear my Egyptian cotton sheets calling my name right now. I hurry over to the auction table and plaster a smile on my face as the guests come to pick up their goodies and hand over their checks. Most of them want to chat a bit, and since it is for a good cause, I pretend I do too. In reality, social functions are not me. I'm more of a leave me alone with my dog and a good book kind of person. But since it is for the kids, I can be nice. Finally, the last person leaves and I can go home. My face hurts. I'm pretty sure that I may have to go to a plastic surgeon to have the smile removed from my face. It seems to have stuck. This time, as Ian approaches, he makes sure that I see him. That's a plus at least. Although he is the last person in the world I really want to talk to right now. You did a nice job tonight. His voice is smooth, as though he's some kind of playboy. Thank you. You as well. I'm grabbing my purse and jacket as we talk, so hopefully he will get the hint that I really am not in the mood to socialize with him. I think it's great that we are raising money for the kids. Life is really rough for them. My name will look great on the door of their sanctuary, since will raise more money than anyone. That stops me dead in my tracks. Is that what this is about to him? I'm pretty sure that poison darts are shooting out of my eyes as I look at him. I'm sure your name will look great up there, I say as sweetly as I can. I really don't have enough time to run a fundraising campaign, so I will simply donate money at the end of the rally and just let it go at that. I don't need my name on the door to show the world that I've done a good deed. I'm happy just knowing that I can make a difference. I almost laugh because Ian's face instantly turns a bright red, which really complements his chocolate brown hair. I'm pretty sure that I can see the smoke coming out of his ears, curling around his head, as he understands what I'm saying, that he's only in it for the notoriety. Have a good night, I say, just as sweetly, and head out the door. I wish I felt as sweet as I sound. I really want to dot both of his eyes with my fist. He is an insufferable, pompous, self-serving, rude jerk. I'm not normally such a witch, but that man seems to have a talent for bringing out my bad side. Hugh, my pit bull, on the other hand, is a sweet pud. As soon as I walk in the door, he rolls over on his back so I can scratch his belly. After changing, Hugh and I go out for our nightly walk. My mind turns from the beautiful brindle baby at the end of my leash to a handsome jerk. Unlike Ian, Hugh is a perfect gentleman. What kind of man knocks down a woman first thing in the morning and doesn't even apologize? What kind of person notices that he knocks some papers out of someone's hand and doesn't stop to help pick them up? Then he saw that the vase shattered all over the floor. He didn't offer to go get a broom or help in any way. He just apologized in that snotty tone of voice. It reminds me of a third grader sassing back to his mama. I know I was sarcastic right off the bat, but dang, I wasn't that rude. And then he sneaks up on me at the gala. What kind of stupid does he have to be to know that he should never sneak up on a woman, especially in today's society? He's lucky he didn't get maced or tased. It would have served him right. It did my soul some good to see his face when I told him that I wasn't interested in getting my name put on the door. I just want to do something for the kids. Although I don't ever plan on having children of my own, I do like kids. At one time, I thought I wanted to be a teacher. Then I saw all the crap teachers have to go through and decided that I would go in a different direction. I really and truly don't want to take part in the competition anyway. It would take a lot of energy, and I am trying to run my company pretty much on my own to keep my overhead down. Plus, I have no intention of taking part in any activity that would put me in the company of that jerk even more. I don't know what it is about him. There's been people before who rubbed me the wrong way, but didn't have this kind of effect on me. Other people, I was mad for a short while, and then I got on with my day. I don't have time to waste energy on being mad. On the other hand, Ian is like a sand spur in my shoe. I can't seem to shake my irritation. Let him get his name put on the door. Every time he sees it, he'll remember my words, and it will make him angry all over again.
Chapter 4. Ian. I don't know who that woman thinks she is. She judges me, simply because I make a little challenge to her so we can raise money for a good cause. She automatically thinks she is better than me. I seethe all the way home. My knuckles are white on the steering wheel as I picture that fake smile she has plastered all over her face when she tells me she isn't going to take part in any competition. She looked down her pert little nose at me, telling me that she's just going to donate money because she doesn't need the notoriety. I'm not in it for the notoriety. If she only knew all of the money and time I have donated to different causes, she would have to eat her words. After changing from my tux into a t-shirt and sweats, I get some whiskey and sit on the couch with Mr. Jinx, a stray cat that somehow moved in with me when I wasn't looking. Mr. Jinx has been with me for about 5 years now. As I absently pet Mr. Jinx, listening to his purr, my thoughts automatically return to that little sprite who thinks she's better than me. I really want to find a way to make her eat her words. I shake my head and swallow my entire drink. Why do I even care what she thinks about me? Why do I care if she knows all the ways I give back to the community? She is nothing to me, but a smart-mouthed little elf who runs a competing business. I've never even had contact with her until this morning. My thoughts are hollow because I know that I want to prove to her that she is wrong about me, even if I don't know why. That just adds to my irritation. Mr. Jinx meows, reminding me that he needs some food. I give him some meow mix and head off to bed. An idea is brewing in my head. I sleep like the dead, having come up with a great plan right before I fell asleep. The sun is shining gloriously and I wake up feeling refreshed. A shower, some coffee, and pancakes for breakfast, and I'm off to a local radio station. My best friend has a radio show there. I have an idea on how to make Jasmine eat her words and make her feel foolish, all at the same time. Steve, the radio DJ, has been my friend since grade school. He lets me into his booth with a questioning look on his face. He knows something is up, because I never come to visit him at work. He wants to know what I'm up to when I ask him if I could have a few minutes on air. I tell him about the competition to raise money for the children's sanctuary at the hospital, and that I want to challenge a business rival. Why? Why what? Why are you challenging her? This is completely out of character for you. What has she done? I put my innocent face on. She has done nothing. It is simply a great way for the two of us to raise money for the children. Steve is not buying my story, but after mulling it over for a second, he agrees to give me a couple minutes of airtime. Even if she doesn't listen to the station, the word is bound to get back to Jasmine. At 9:30, Steve introduces me and gives me control of the mic. Hello everyone, my name is Ian Carmichael. I'm the CEO of the dating site, The Love Connection. Last night I attended a benefit for the pediatric patients at the hospital. We raised quite a bit of money for some much-needed equipment and some toys. But more is needed for the kids who spend a lot of time there. The hospital is hosting a competition for businesses and individuals to raise money for a sanctuary that allows the kids a safe place to hang out, where there are no treatments and no bad things that happen to them. It will be a place where they can escape their hospital rooms, even for a short time. I take a deep breath and Steve raises his eyebrows when he sees my evil smile emerge. I would like to personally invite Miss Jazmin Landers, CEO of the dating site Soulmates, to the competition. I propose that my clients and my business will be able to outdo anything that Miss Landers' client and business can do. Steve reaches for the microphone, but I hold on to it. I decide that I am going to address her, personally. Of course, Miss Landers, if you are too afraid to face me in this competition that is for a good cause, I completely understand. No one likes being a loser. With that, Steve grabs the microphone from me. There you have it, folks. The hospital is looking to raise money to help out the children who spend a large part of their life in the hospital and don't have a lot of opportunity to escape from their rooms to have a good time. We will put up some information on our website later today, explaining how you can give and help make life better for these kids. Then he put on some music. What was that all about? Last night, she insinuated that I was only interested in helping the kids out to get my name on the door of their sanctuary. She suggested that I don't care about the kids, only about the notoriety. I just thought that I would prove to her that there is more to it than that. No, I know you. You are trying to make her mad. That might be part of it, too. I know Jasmine. She isn't going to take this down lightly. I don't know how, but she will get you. I know. I can't wait.
Chapter 5. Jasmine. I cannot believe that man. I like Steve's radio show and was listening to it this morning when that odious man came on with some kind of lame challenge. I knew that he was out for the notoriety and just wants to get his name out in the public to give his company an edge over mine in the market. During the entire day, I kept thinking about what he had to say. He wants to challenge me after I told him I wasn't interested. The truth is that his feelings were hurt when I insinuated that he was just a shallow person and was only in it to get his name on the door. I would like nothing more than just to ignore him and his stupid challenge. However, I am pretty sure that if I do, he will just do something equally annoying. I guess I will just have to fight fire with water and cool him down. Steve happens to be a good friend of mine as well. His sister is one of my best friends. I'm pretty sure that he will let me get my 2 cents in. Besides, he likes a good battle, and it will likely be good for his ratings. The good thing is that this friendly competition between the two of us will get the word out about the hospital fundraiser and will actually help raise money for the kids. I get a slot for the next morning about the same time as Ian got today. Steve is smirking because he knows that I am about to annoy Ian, and he likes to see his good friend taken down a notch or two. Hi, everyone. I hope you all are having a glorious day. I am Jazmin Landers, CEO of Soulmates, the dating site where you can find that person who completes you. I take a breath. Now, yesterday, you heard from Ian Carmichael, who issued a challenge to me about who can raise the most money for the pediatric sanctuary at the hospital. Originally, I was just going to donate money to the cause, quietly. I don't need my name on the sanctuary door. I'd rather that the sanctuary have some magical name in honor of the children who will be using the rooms as part of their second home. When my clients and company win this contest, I want the kids to come together and find the perfect name for themselves and not name it after a business. Steve smiles and nods. He appears to be enjoying himself. Once again, I'm insinuating that Ian just wants his name to be recognized. Apparently, Mr. Carmichael wants to be humiliated because I know that my clients and my business is the best. We rock. For my prize, when we win, he will publicly acknowledge that my clients are simply the best, kindest, and most giving people ever. Steve takes the mic back and says, "There you have it, folks. We have a website set up so that you can donate in the name of either of the companies, or if you prefer, you can simply donate to a generic fund. Either way, it is a great cause for the children of our community who need your love and support." Steve winks at me as I gather my purse and jacket to leave. I mouth, "Thanks," kiss him on the cheek, and head on to the office. I groan in the back of my throat when I see Ian coming out of the elevator onto the main floor. I never used to see him at all. Now it seems that he is everywhere that I go. "I heard your little spiel this morning." I smile and raise my eyebrows. "Did you now? How did you like it?" "I didn't know that a little person such as yourself would be able to join the major leagues with the rest of us grown-ups." I'm very careful to keep my smile plastered on my face. I don't want him to know that he is irritating me. You know, short jokes are for children. But for your information, Mr. Grown-Up, didn't you know that diamonds and dynamite come in small packages? And haven't you heard? The bigger they are, the harder they fall. You will be cut down at your knees and come crashing down. You'll cut me at my knees because that is the only part of me you can reach, and that's with a stepladder. As if I haven't heard that before. Perhaps you should try coming up with something more original. If that is as good as it gets, no wonder you need the extra publicity for your business. A shadow passes over his face, which tells me I've scored a point. He grunts at me. But truly, I am glad to see you went and put your big girl panties on. That way, I can beat them off of you. I laugh. As if. I wink at him and head for the elevator. I have a whole lot of work to get done this morning. That man is something else. I wonder if he's always been so unpleasant, or if something happened to him to make him that bad. Maybe he has mommy issues or something. I get into the elevator and see that he is staring at me. He is a gorgeous man. I'll have to give him that. His eyes are captivating, and although I'm short, I happen to prefer tall men. He's also well built. His shirt does nothing to hide his muscular chest and full arms. I bet he goes to the gym and works out all the time. He probably stares at himself in the mirror while he's working out too. Another thought sneaks into my head. I bet that he would be amazing in bed. If he wasn't so infuriating, he could probably show a girl an awesome time. That's what duct tape is for.
You think you can catch me? You think you can tame me?
Oh, I know I can. And you know it too, baby.
I gotta tell you, you're not the first to try.
But don't worry, baby. I'll be the last.
With sass like that, maybe I'll be the one that needs to tame you.
Let's cut to the chase, big boy. What you selling me?
Your appetite is big AF. I have just the thing that'll satisfy you.
Oh, really? And what's that?
Over 120 hours of romance audiobooks. Brought to you by Tyler Walker Romances in the Big AF audio bundle.
120 hours? That sounds amazing.
Your knees won't work afterwards if I do my job right.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Well, I can keep this promise. Because these audiobooks are unabridged with all the spicy scenes that will make you put your earbuds on. You know, Tyler can get freaky because she marked the bundle down by 69% for a limited time.
I can't wait to take this bundle for a ride.
Visit tylerwalker.com and get this audio bundle. Just don't start listening if you're going to be cooking dinner. Because you might just forget to feed your family.
tylerwalker.com. Escape your life with Tyler.
Chapter 6, Ian. My God, that little runt is sure of herself. She knows exactly how to get under my skin. Still, I can't help watching her stride off to the elevator, her firm backside swaying with a slight bounce on each step. When she turns around to press the button for her floor, I notice that her chest has the same supple quality. Without being too tight, her top definitely accentuates her figure. This may be the first time I've noticed how good it is. But then it's hard to get a good angle on her when I'm a full foot taller. Damn, she caught me looking. Even at this distance, I can see a flash in those eyes of hers. As much as she irks me, there's something about her that's difficult to get over. She's smart as a whip, and every time I think I might get the drop on her, she seems to be waiting for me around the corner. Jazmin Landers, you could be trouble. She's damn sure a spitfire. And that thing she said about diamonds and dynamite coming in small packages? I have absolutely no doubt that she'd be dynamite in the sack. All that passion and grit bound up in that curvy little frame must be formidable when she finally cuts loose. Those green eyes of hers flash in what, for us, is a normal conversation. I can only imagine how they flame up when she really gets riled. She's got a keen mind tucked away in that compact little package of hers. She's strong, independent, and completely insufferable. If it weren't for that last part, she'd be completely my speed. My mom always told me to find a partner who challenges you. While it's awfully tempting to look at Jasmine as a challenge, she seems more like a dare. A challenge would be climbing a mountain, but Jasmine would be jumping off the top of that mountain into a river of snakes. Still, she's got true determination. A formidable backbone, even if it is remarkably short. I may want to remember that one for the roast. Though, if I want to hold my own against Jasmine, I'm probably going to need more than a quiver of short jokes to toss her way, because everything I lob at her is coming straight back. She just threatened as much. Though, really, it wasn't a real and true threat. From an outside perspective, it's possible that what we've just engaged in could be considered banter. That's a sobering thought. She's pretty dynamic, and I'm definitely attracted to dynamic people. Most of my relationships fall apart. If I'm being honest, it's because I always shoot myself in the foot by needing to be absolutely in control. It's not my finest quality, and it's made me run kind of roughshod over some really fantastic women. I like to think I'm learning, but who can say? Any woman who stands a chance with me is going to need to have the perseverance and determination to hold down her quarter when that little devil in my gut decides to rear up and dig in his heels. That's a lot to expect, and I know I'm going to have to learn to give up some slack. But I've never been one to just roll over and cede control. If I'm counting on my fingers, I want a woman who is strong, fiercely intelligent, independent, and certain of her own path. And her hair shall be of what color it please God. What kind of jerk am I to tick off those qualities? And what brings them bubbling up to my attention so soon after parting ways with Jazmin goddamn Landers? She meets every one of those benchmarks, only failing in the last, unspoken necessity. Jasmine has the capacity to be a colossal, snippy wench, and that could very well be a deal-breaker. Even so, I find myself itching to see her again. She is barely gone, and here I am postulating over her as a potential lover. And further still, a partner. It's absurd. She must have really riled me up to stick in my mind like this. Well, I'm going to need to dig deep to find material on her for the event. It's good publicity, and if she cleared her head, she would see that it could work to both our benefits. Not to mention the fact that it stands to generate some real revenue for a cause that really needs it. Jasmine may come loaded for bear, but in the end, I'm determined to be the one who gets their name on this project. The hospital has been having difficulty raising funds in this fluctuating market, so anything to give them a boost is crucial. A little bit of friendly rivalry to generate attention could be just what they need to grab some public attention. And if I get to rankle a rival in the process, so much the better for me. The trick is going to be figuring out how to land some real zingers without going below the belt. Though the prospect of getting below her belt is admittedly appealing, taking nasty pot shots in a public event would be unfortunate for both the hospital and the love connection. They say there's no such thing as bad publicity, but I think they don't know what the hell they're talking about. If I'm going to come out victorious, I need to gather enough information to get some real laughs out of the crowd, and maybe one or two solid punches to rattle whoever might be throwing money at her side in the process. Who knows? Maybe I can even get a couple of her subscribers to jump over to my app as well. I'm sure that would rile her up more than anything I could manage to say about her stature. Really, the whole point is to see if I can get her to shoot genuine lightning bolts out of those startlingly green eyes. If I can manage that, the money and the business interest will all come out in the wash. And there will be the added bonus of seeing that fire again.
Chapter 7. Jazmine. What a jerk. I sit at my desk, my trembling fingers hovering over the keyboard. My email to the technology developers in India sits unfinished. No matter how hard I try to immerse myself in my work, thoughts of Ian's rudeness derail my thought process. The Soulmates app update plan has to be approved by tomorrow, but I happily push my work aside to plot the downfall of Ian Carmichael. After my stint on Steve's show, I thought I had bested Ian once and for all. Thanks to me, the public is now well aware that he's only putting on a show to get recognition. They know I'm the one that actually cares about the children. That would have been enough for me to move on with my life. But after running into him by the elevators earlier, my hatred for him was reinvigorated. The way he made fun of my height, the way he smirked at me with those green eyes of his, the way his muscles bulged beneath his white button-down as he crossed his arms at me. I can't stand him. Just as my mind begins to drift off into a different direction, one that involves Ian using those muscular arms to screw me over my desk, the phone rings. With reddening cheeks, I clear my throat, coughing out an embarrassed, Jazmine speaking. Hi, Ms. Landers. It's Joseph Stoller. I'm in charge of organizing the charity event for the Children's Hospital this year. Did I catch you at a bad time? I remember Joseph speaking at the hospital formal the other day, but I have no idea what he could possibly want this late at night. Yet still, I'll do anything for the children, unlike a certain someone I know. No, not at all. Just finishing up some work, but I'm free to talk. How can I help you? He chuckles, seemingly pleased that I'm ready to help out. I'm sorry to call you so late, but my colleagues and I were just reflecting on the fundraiser. We all thought you did a stupendous job assisting with the silent auction. The entire event went off without a hitch, and I just wanted to make sure you knew how much the hospital values your help. I'm flattered at his praise, but part of me senses that there's more to this late-night call than a simple thank you. I really appreciate that. Is there something else I can help with? I really do want the children to have all the resources they need. I'm so glad to hear that, Jasmine, and that's actually why I called. There's something else I was hoping to have you do for us. He seemed slightly apprehensive, and my nerves peak. Well, we were hoping that you and Ian could return to the hospital for a friendly competition. I knew it. I just knew that bastard Ian had something to do with this. I don't really think that's a good idea. I say, the mention of Ian's name already beginning to make the blood boil beneath my skin. As if he doesn't hear me at all, Joseph continues on. The connection between you two was amazing to witness. I think the audience would agree that sparks fly when you two are in a room together. Was this man in the same room I was? I seem to recall the event somewhat differently, with tension and animosity growing so strong between the two of us that we almost resorted to throwing punches. That isn't how I see it at all. I do recall, though, that I linked arms with him as we walked towards the stage. Maybe that was my fatal mistake that caused Joseph to think I would possibly work with Ian willingly. We aren't exactly the best of friends. Even better, Joseph persists, highlighting the details of his heinous plan through my phone speakers. I absolutely love the competition you started. All we would need you to do is square off against each other, your business against his. We'll have a little roast. You and Ian can throw a couple playful insults back and forth. And here's the best part. He pauses while I roll my eyes. We'll record the entire thing and upload it to YouTube. No, absolutely not. There is no way in hell. Joseph, I'm so excited just thinking about this. And after we upload the video, viewers can show their support by donating to the hospital in the name of the person they felt won the roast. Your businesses will get some extra publicity from this, too. I don't care about the publicity, but I know if Joseph had called Ian first, he would have eaten that right up. As I'm about to respectfully decline, he adds, Ian has already agreed. Of course. I have a feeling we'll be able to get so many donations for the children. When he brings up the kids, my heart beats heavily with guilt. Those little darlings. They don't have much to get excited about in that hospital. We do all we can, but we need an extra push to really put a smile on their faces. Jasmine, I believe this is the push we need. What do you say? Anything for the kids. I say through clenched teeth. I can't back down now that Ian has accepted. Plus, Joseph guilt tripped me into it by bringing up those kids. I would do anything to put a smile on their faces because I remember being in their position all too well. I was hospitalized as a child for a short period of time. I only had a broken arm from falling off my bicycle. But I do remember that the time I did spend in the children's hospital was one of the scariest points of my childhood. Back then, hospital staff didn't try so hard to make the children feel like children. I would have given anything to witness a comedic competition between two businesses, both roasting each other for our benefit. I sigh, knowing Joseph has won me over. Okay, sign me up. Wonderful. That's splendid news. Let me coordinate with the staff and we'll be all set. Thank you, Jasmine. This will mean the world to the children. Anytime. I say, wondering what in the world I've gotten myself into. However, if it's going to bring a smile to some sick faces, a showdown with the world's biggest jerk is a small price to pay.
Chapter 8. Ian. The idea for the roast is incredible. I can't believe I didn't come up with it myself. All the same, it's going to be fantastic. There's no shortage of material to use against Jasmine. The amount of ammunition she gives me every time I pass her in the elevator is endless, and there's more than enough time to prepare. I wish I could have seen the look on her face when she found out about it. I'd be willing to bet my left nut that she wanted to say no, but couldn't when she found out I had already agreed. Her feisty nature won't let her back down from a competition, at least not one against me. I can picture the hard set of her jaw and the fiery spark in those gorgeous green eyes. She sure does pack a vicious punch in that tiny body of hers. Just thinking about it gives me all kinds of ideas of the dirty things I'd do to her if she gave me the time of day. My manhood swells just thinking about it. Excuse me, sir, there's, a young lady here. She's demanding to see you, right away, my secretary says as she steps through the door without knocking. There's a slight tremor in her voice and her eyes are wide and uncertain. There's only one person I can think of who would elicit such a reaction from someone, Jasmine. She pushes her way through the door, stepping around my secretary and marching right up to my desk. Anger pours from her in waves as she slams a tiny fist down against the top of my desk. The deafening thud is actually quite louder than I would have thought she was capable of. It's okay, Janine. I'll take it from here. Thank you. I tell my secretary, angling my head to peer at her from around Jasmine's petite body. Who would have thought that someone so small could take up so much space? Janine slinks from the room, looking ready to call the police the second I give her the go-ahead. To what do I owe the pleasure of your visit? I ask Jasmine with a smirk. Oh, cut the nonsense, you giant wildebeest! You know exactly why I'm here, she seethes. Name-calling? I'm disappointed. I tease. Standing up, I stride around my desk so that I'm standing toe-to-toe with her. I thought you would be above such pettiness. I look down at her. She has to crane her neck up to meet my eyes. She's mad as an old wet hen, and if she actually had feathers, I'm sure they would be all kinds of ruffled right about now. Her eyes narrow, and her lips pull tight into a straight line beneath her pert nose. She doesn't back away. Did you put Mr. Stoller up to this? She demands. I'm afraid you're going to have to be more specific. Up to what, exactly? I'm goading her, but I can't help it. She makes it so much fun. Did you? She enunciates each word through gritted teeth. Ask Mr. Stoller to organize this whole roast debacle. Debacle? I turn and lean back casually against my desk, crossing my arms over my chest. Wow, I thought we were raising money for the children in the hospital. I'm sure I would never be part of a debacle. I say innocently. The death glare that she shoots my direction would put Darth Vader to shame. It only makes me want her more. If I didn't think she'd punch me right in the nose, I'd toss her across my desk and kiss her stupid until all her fire was burned out into a dull simmer. You do realize this is a charity event, right? I ask. We're trying to raise money for the hospital, for the sick children who are in the hospital. The sick children who may never leave the hospital, I throw out for the guilt factor. Of course, I realize that, she hisses, but I can tell a small part of the fury has left her. So, maybe you could relax a little. Chill your nerves. Put some ice on that fire. I can think of a far better use for that kind of passion. I wink at her, waggling my eyebrows. Oh, please, she huffs. Besides, this is your opportunity as well. You get to roast me after all. Appropriately, of course, this is a children's event. We wouldn't want to permanently scar the little darlings. She snorts loudly, and it's the cutest noise I think I've ever heard in my entire life. You're a real piece of work, you know that? She asks. So, you're telling me that you think I'm hot? I say matter of fact. Oh my God, she exclaims, throwing her hands in the air. Are you ever not a conceited, arrogant jerk? Only when I'm talking to my mother, I answer. Seriously? She sounds genuinely shocked. Of course, I would never disrespect the woman who raised me. My mother is a saint. She had to be to put up with me my entire adolescence. I'm guessing she'd have to be to put up with you, Jasmine says, echoing my thought. I promise you, I implore her, I'm not as bad as you think. Her malachite gaze bores into me as her brows crease across her forehead. The intensity of her stare sends chills snaking down my spine, but I hold myself steady, not wanting her to know the kind of affect she has on me. Whatever she's looking for, she must find it, because she straightens her body and sets her shoulders back. Fine, she says. I'll do it, but I don't have to like it. The fire in her eyes promises one hell of a good time in bed, and the sway of her hips as she storms from the office sets my member throbbing. She brushes past me, her flaming ponytail flipping out behind her. The scent of wisteria and vanilla waft across my nose, and my mouth literally waters.
Chapter 9. Jazmin. I'm still reeling when I roll out of bed the next morning. My head throbs with every beat of my heart in my chest. The nerve of that man, he's completely infuriating. It doesn't help that my night was filled with fitful sleep. I kept dreaming of Ian. His touch, his lips, his mouth on my body, my cheeks flamed just thinking about it. Every time I woke up, my mind was still somewhere in the dream, and when I realized he wasn't with me, a wave of sadness would hit so deeply in my chest that it knocked the breath from my lungs. What the hell is wrong with me? It doesn't make any sense. I hate the man. Well, maybe hate is a strong word, but I dislike him for sure. To make things worse, I don't know if I'm madder at my own subconscious for being so senseless, or at Ian for being so. This whole situation has me in a complete and utter tizzy. Yes, that's right, tizzy. I'm just stepping out of the shower when my phone chimes from my bedroom. I run from the bathroom, still dripping and wrapped in a towel. I skid across the slick wood floor, tumbling onto my bed in a heap as my fingers fumble for the phone on my nightstand. My heart sinks when I see the number. Was I really hoping it was Ian? I must be going mad. Good morning, Jasmine, says Mr. Stahl cheerfully. I was just calling to ask if you wouldn't mind stopping by my office this morning. Sure, I reply, trying to mask my annoyance. I really don't want to do this whole thing. I have to remind myself that it's for a good cause. I'm sure if it were anyone else, anyone besides Ian, I would be excited. Raising money for the children in the hospital is actually a pretty awesome thing to do. But there's something about Ian that just irks the living Hades out of me. One minute I want to slap the smug look off his face. The next, I want to jump on him and ride him until I can't see straight. Slapping my hands over my face, I groan loudly. What have I gotten myself into? I need to stay away from him. That's what I need to do. Unfortunately, that's going to be impossible as long as we're working together for the charity event. I finish getting dressed and head out the door. When I reach the organizer's office, I see that Ian is already there. He gives me a smirk as I walk through the door, but before he can say anything, the secretary is ushering us into the office. Thanks so much for coming by, you two, Joseph says, standing up to shake both of our hands. He motions for us to take a seat in the 2 chairs across the desk from him. I swear when Ian sits down, he angles his chair closer to mine. I glare at him out of the corner of my eye. I just wanted to touch base with you both and let you know where we stand. We were able to raise a substantial amount of money at the formal event, enough to cover some equipment, toys, and other supplies for the kids. Unfortunately, we've fallen extremely short of the goal to be able to build the playroom. The idea for the playroom is that it would give the kids a safe place to hang out. Some of these kids are so frail and weak, they may never leave the hospital. We want to provide a space for them where they don't feel like they're stuck in a hospital with no chance of ever having a real life again. Our goal is to create a room for the younger kids with toys, coloring books, and even a short slide that they could play on. For the older kids, there would be a separate room with video games, computers, televisions, books, and other age-appropriate items. It would be a haven for them, someplace far detached from the constant reminder of their condition. That sounds wonderful, I say, realizing how important this project is. I glance over at Ian and see a hard-set determination in his cobalt gaze. Of course, Ian says. I'll do whatever I can to make sure the kids get this. Me too, I agree, resolving to play nice as long as it takes to raise the money. If Ian is willing to go all out for these kids, then so am I. He may come across as a pompous jerk, but anyone willing to go to such lengths to help children must possess some redeeming qualities, right? There are too many people today willing to just look the other way. Ian and I head out the door at the same time. We don't say much as we make our way down the elevator and out the front doors onto the sidewalk. The sun is high in the sky, and I hesitate, feeling like I should say something instead of just walking away. Would you like to go grab a cup of coffee? He asks. There's a small bit of uncertainty swirling in his eyes that makes my heart flip in my chest. We could lay out a plan for the roast. Throw out some ideas so we'll be prepared. We do need to know a few things about each other in order for the roast to be effective. It would put on a better show, I agree, and make things run more smoothly if we each had an idea of what the other was going to say. So, coffee then? There's an almost pleading tone in his deep voice. I actually have somewhere to be right now, I answer. His expression falls slightly at my words. No worries, he says with false bravado. What about dinner? I suggest. After all, everyone has to eat. I'm free tonight. Yeah? He asks hopefully. Sure, I smile.
You won't know what hit you, baby. I'm going to take you, break you, and make you mine. And when I'm done, you're...
Now hold on just a minute.
What?
I got something to say.
What's the meaning of this?
Now you may be some fine-looking white boy.
Got that right, baby. It takes hard work.
And you might got the money.
Fat stacks, baby, to spoil you with.
But that doesn't mean I'm going to give it up to you without a fight.
A fight?
You want some limp wilting flowers? Go to historical romance, baby. But you want sassy and spicy strong black queens that tame their alpha male bad boys?
I think our listeners do.
Then you go on and look at Miss Tyla's Bougie Brides and Billionaires audio bundle.
50 hours of me whispering the most romantic things in your ears. Fake marriages, alpha male billionaires, strong black women, steamy scenes that will make your eyes roll back. Everything wrapped up in a happily ever after that will put you in an afterglow.
Use code SAVE40 to get 40% off this bundle and any other digital product in Miss Tyla's store.
Unabridged and uncut.
Just like you?
You're gonna have to find out.
Tyla Walker Romances. Escape your life with sassy romance.
Chapter 10. Ian. I'm a little nervous as I park my car and make my way to the restaurant. Maybe it's just excitement. It's not often I meet a woman who's equally attractive and annoying like Jasmine. It's push, pull, push, pull. It keeps me on my toes. Not literally, of course. Jasmine looks big when she's pissed off, plus her heels give her a few inches. But up close, she barely reaches my chest. I could easily swing her over my shoulder. I laugh at the image of her kicking and pounding my back, but I don't think I'd want to. The verbal beating she'd deliver just wouldn't be worth it. I'm grinning as I spot her at the bar, waiting. Her lips curl to one side, half smiling, half smirking. And as we settle in at our table, she glances at me furtively, those green eyes flashing as if she's assessing my mood as much as I'm evaluating hers. "Do you come here often?" She flips her hair back and shrugs before reaching for a roll. She breaks off a small piece, pops it in her mouth, and fixes her eyes on mine. I laugh. "No, not much. You?" Like her, I busy my hands with the roll and wonder where to start. I don't think she wants to be here, any more than I do, although I'm committed to the cause. I just wish it hadn't got out of hand like this. Only when I have to. Gee, remind me, next time that conversation with you requires force. After beer is served and the waiter takes our order, Jasmine looks for bait. "Do you have kids?" She's still watching me. "What is this? The Inquisition? No, I don't have kids, do you?" Her eyebrows raise. "No need to get defensive, it's a perfectly normal question." "Right, but you'd accuse me of sexism if I asked you that question, and throw a roll at me, correct?" She coughs out something that resembles a laugh. "Probably, and no kids." Our food arrives and our banter is broken up momentarily. When the waiter leaves, I decide to take control of the conversation. "So why are you interested in fundraising for the new children's hospital? And why are you going along with all this? Surely it's not due to my charm." Jasmine twirls her pasta on her fork much longer than necessary. "I didn't even know you when I signed up for this. But part of my interest is because my baby sister was born with renal cancer. My parents struggled to pay for her care and did everything they could, but she died when she was only 3. Oh, I'm so sorry." I blurt out my response without thinking. I'm almost shocked to realize that underneath the bluster and polished veneer of the woman sitting across from me is someone who might have trials and tribulations like anyone else. She waves a hand. "It was a long time ago, and I barely remember it. I was only 5 or 6 years old. My parents were devastated, of course, but they were there for me and my brother. Relatives, too." "Sounds like you have a fabulous family." "I do." She finally lifts the forkful of pasta to her mouth. We eat in silence for a while. What I remember most, though, is that the hospital was dismal and depressing. It just wasn't cheerful or bright like you'd expect for kids, and a playroom was just what it needed. I've always wanted to help other kids, and here I am. There's much more to her than I thought. She waves her hand again. "What about you? I'm guessing you're an overindulged only child since you're so obnoxious." She grins as she grabs her beer. "Hardly. There are 6 of us." 6? Oh my God, what was that like? "Crowded." I laugh and remember bunk beds, bossy older sisters, and brothers who were my worst enemies and best friends. But I think it's partly why I'm committed to the cause. "What did your parents do? I mean, that's a lot of mouths to feed." "Well, my dad was a mechanical engineer. He worked hard and did pretty well. My mom managed the household until we were all in school, and then she worked part-time as a librarian. Money was tight sometimes, but we were comfortable. And we all went to college or finished a 2-year training program." Jasmine nods. "Sounds like my family. Hard-working parents, pretty solid. My mom was a nurse, which helped when my sister was sick. Dad was the high school principal. He's retired now. But can you imagine how awful that was for me?" I laugh. "No, not really." Jasmine laughs and shakes her head. "I guess you can't since you skipped school most of the time." "Right. I never went to class, but a fairy godmother waved a wand, and somehow I got into college and graduated with honors." "Sure. And now you're running an online dating business with everything you learned. Just like you." "Touché." Jasmine's laughter is light, and her prior gloom seems to have lifted. "So what's the plan for this YouTube roasting thing?" "Well, I'd better warn you. I had graduate-level courses in sarcasm, so be prepared for a never-ending stream of jokes and jabs." "Ah." She waves her fork around. "You needed classes? I was born witty, as my dad calls it." "I'm a quick shot," I tell her. "I'm faster." She rolls her eyes. After dinner, what had become fun and lighthearted suddenly becomes awkward. Should I shake her hand? Give her a hug? We stare at each other outside the restaurant like we did at first, only this time we have only a few moments to say goodbye. Just as I reach out to shake her hand and pat her shoulder, she moves in, stands on tiptoe with her hands on my shoulders and kisses me on the cheek. Thanks. She spins on her heels and, without looking back, gets lost in the crowd.
Chapter 11. Jazmine. I kick myself all the way home. Why, oh, why did I kiss that obnoxious jerk? Well, the truth is, he's not as bad as I originally thought. In fact, he's kind of nice. Charming, likable, in a sarcastic sort of way. And definitely sexy. I hadn't realized he has a hell of a body and a face to match. And I don't think he's attached. He was at the benefit alone, and I haven't seen any women around him. He didn't even look at the two women in the table next to us at the restaurant. They were cover model gorgeous and shooting glances his way. Could he be gay? I shake my head. No, I'd have picked up on that immediately. Maybe he's just not looking for anyone at the moment. But if he is, what is he looking for? Maybe he has high standards. I laugh. That puts me out of the running. He could have anyone he wants, unless she's short like me and not into tall men. I like them, though. I can curl up into his lap or against his chest with my whole body snuggled up, his arms wrapped tight around me. I wonder what he's like in bed. I ramp up my speed on the highway, and it jolts me back to reality. Gah, what am I thinking? He was just on his best behavior, that's all. Before you know it, he'll revert back to obnoxious creep. They always do. Don't judge a book by its cover, a little voice in my head says. Maybe I did come on too strong when he bumped into me and sent my files flying. Maybe if I hadn't been such a wise guy, he wouldn't have got pissed off in return. It takes two, as the saying goes. Regardless, just because we had fun at a business meeting, which wasn't even a date, doesn't mean anything. I might as well have kissed an employee, someone completely off limits considering the circumstances. Was I losing my mind? He's just someone with the same goal as me, which is to raise enough money for the children's playroom. He's also a competitor, a rival who would gladly take all my clients. I'd better watch it next time I see him and not let that handsome face and boyish charm take me off guard. I think back on our conversation. I shouldn't have mentioned my sister. It's too personal, and he'd better not crack any jokes about that. I shake my head. No, he's not the type to go below the belt or get too personal. And hopefully he's too smart to think that would go over well with the audience. At least I hope so. He didn't say a lot about himself, come to think of it. But he has a business reputation to keep up just like I do, and that means I won't have anything to worry about. Hopefully. I ease off the highway and around the exit ramp, thinking of his body. His dress slacks were straight and a little snug, totally on trend. His flat stomach was on display too, with a tailored white shirt framed by a loose casual jacket. And when he excused himself to the restroom, I couldn't take my eyes off his rear view. Broad shoulders, well-muscled butt, strong thighs. What would it be like to kiss him for real? On the lips instead of on the cheek? How would his mouth feel under mine? By the time I get home, I'm not even thinking of my driving. I'm thinking of a cold shower. He's my rival, for crying out loud. And I can't take risks like this and get all soft about him. I need to be on my toes for the roasting. I need to hate him, loathe him, think he's the worst example of a human being I've ever known. By the time I unlock my door, I'm ready to call him and tell him to come over right now. But I can't do that. I'll have to think of all the wisecracks I can throw at him. I change quickly and grab a notebook from my desk, flick on the TV, and make a list of everything I know about him. It's not much, but I figure jokes about his height and build are pretty safe. Jolly Green Giant. Did you eat a lot of beans growing up? Popeye. Did your mom make you eat a lot of spinach to build these muscles? With this, I can squeeze a bicep. What's your superpower? I'll bet he can't answer that one. He seems too practical and down to earth to think in terms like that. But what would my response be? Huh, didn't think you had one. But what if he asks me what my superpower is? Raising more money for the kids' hospital than he can. But what if he's in the lead, getting the jolly green giant out to raise money for kids? I sigh and look up at the TV. I could ask him what his favorite movie or TV show is, but what would my comeback be? Too smart for your own good if it's something educational. Or I could yawn and act bored. Try again. I'll just have to ad-lib it, I decide, as I turn off the TV and head for my bedroom. I undress slowly, thinking back to his face and his body, and I decide to pour a bubble bath instead of taking a shower. As the warm water covers me, I think back to Ian's face, the slight stubble of his cheek, the way his muscular shoulders felt under my hands. He smelled vaguely of cologne. It was barely discernible and just right. I call it to mind as I let my fantasy and my fingers take their course and block out any doubts I have about him. It's just a fantasy after all. Nothing he needs to know about, and nothing I need to make come true.
Chapter 12. Ian. I watch as Jasmine saunters off, her jaunty step perfectly matched to her personality. Even the way her short, thick hair bounces as she steps into her car suits her. She doesn't turn around to look at me, and she doesn't wave as she drives off. Confident much? Or something else? My hand is still on my cheek where she kissed me as her car recedes into the distance. I had vague hopes for a handshake to prove we could at least get along, but I hadn't even considered getting any closer to her. Knowing how I would have eyed her up in any other situation, how I would have immediately evaluated her in terms of possibilities, that's unusual for me. I've assumed she hates my guts. At best, she doesn't like me. All that business about accidentally bumping into her and knocking her files out of her hands seemed to have made a permanent impression on her. But a kiss and a hug. Okay, it was barely a hug, but still. Either I was wrong or she's changed her mind. Or maybe she's only attracted to men she hates, like some kind of bizarre kink. My head spins with the thought, or maybe it had to do with all the jokes and bantering. We did have a good time. Seems we have a lot more in common than I thought. We're both from solid families with parents who worked hard. I'd had the impression she comes from more of an upper-class background, maybe went to an Ivy League school and her parents were footing the bill for setting up her business. But that doesn't seem to be the case. I'm getting the impression she works as hard as I do. Maybe harder. And on top of that, she's crazy funny. That sense of humor is wicked, and she'll be using it against me in the roasting contest. How long can I hold up? It's just not like I can go on with the jokes and comebacks forever. After a point, even with my best buddies, I'm usually the one to calm things down. Enough is enough. Let's get serious. But it really does seem to be innate with Jasmine. I head down the street toward my car. I need to think about work and catching up with a few things, but she keeps coming back to me. The brief, almost hug. So close, with her hands on my shoulders, but somehow not as close as I suddenly wanted. What would she feel like in my arms? She's so tiny. I've never dated anyone so small. Would I have to lean down to kiss her or hug her? Again, I rubbed the spot where she kissed me, barely above my jaw, and she sort of lunged at me, on tiptoes no doubt, and her grip on my shoulders was firm, like she was using them as support, as a climber would. Next step, pointy shoe in my pants pocket. I laugh out loud and imagine an arm around her as she rides on my hip, her legs wrapped around me, just to kiss her. How would her lips feel on mine, instead of on my cheek? I shake my head. I'm getting ahead of myself, and she's not really that short. Besides, I'm not even sure if she likes me or what that kiss was about. Maybe she's playing some kind of game. Maybe she thinks if she flirts with me enough, I'll start liking her too much to get serious about roasting her in the contest. Maybe she thinks I'll go easier on her, and before I know it, she'll roast me like a marshmallow and win. And that brings me to another thought. We're competitors, Rival companies. Who in their right mind gets involved with the CEO of the competition? At home, I crack open a beer and kick back to catch up on the news and weather, but I barely watch it. I think of talks I've had with my brothers and a sister, my parents, and a few times with friends. What will I do with my life besides work? Don't I want to get married and have a family? I usually shrug them off because I have a life and I'm busy. Or I'm dating someone and we'll see, I tell them. But my future is always staring me in the face. Unlike some of my friends, I've always had a plan to settle down with the right woman. Even if I don't think about it all the time, it's constantly in the back of my mind. A few times I've fallen in love and thought she was the one. But it never worked out, and these days I keep things light. I've always believed I'd know her when I see her. But it doesn't work like magic, as I learned the hard way. She might be pretty, and she might be a lot of fun, but just because I get a hard-on for her doesn't mean a thing. So now I have some specifics in mind. Smart, savvy, educated, high energy like me, serious about her career, funny, light-hearted, serious when needed. Attractiveness is part of it too, although I've never limited that to a certain look or hair color. I've always known that women come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and many catch my eye, sometimes surprisingly. Even tiny little short-haired elves like Jasmine. When I think about her logically, she's everything I've wanted. At least as far as I can see right now. Non-logically, she's incredibly cute. Beautiful, even. Those huge green eyes that seem to change according to her mood. The pixie nose, the strong yet feminine figure. Like an hourglass. And that shiny, bouncing hair. Would I look at her in other ways? In another situation? Could we possibly have some sort of connection?
Chapter 13. Jazmin. Last night's steamy bubble bath purged the unwelcome lust for Ian from my system, and I'm finally able to focus on my business. As I scan through a file of advertising plans, I begin to wonder if Ian is considering something similar for the love connection. Not again. Before I can chastise myself and get back to work, my mind gets lost among one of several sensual daydreams. One in particular has me chewing my pen in mindless lust. Ian hunched over his work, his biceps bulging as he strokes his stubble. I have to find an eco-friendly alternative, Fantasy Ian mutters huskily, and I shiver at the image. A man who's a business owner and environmentally friendly. It's exactly what I need. What a hunk. I sigh, remembering the feel of my lips against his cheek. Just as my fingers begin to trail downwards, looking to relieve some of the pressure between my thighs, a knock at the door pulls me out of my own head. Who's a hunk now? It's Ian, his gorgeous face sporting a grin as he leans around my office door. Hunk of junk, I stammer, pointing to my laptop. It's frozen again. Can't count on these things, you know? Sweat begins to form against my brow as I pray that he believes my lie. Exactly. I was looking into ways to reduce my company's carbon footprint, and my laptop shut right off. Of course. So I thought I'd take a break and drop by with breakfast instead. He flashes me a brilliant smile, and I take note of the coffee cups and donut box in his hands. I clear my throat and point to the couch, fully aware of the heat coming to my cheeks as I try to separate fantasy from reality. Come in, please. Have a seat. Ian settles in against the couch cushions and holds a cup out to me. Do you have time for a quick break? I nod, pushing my files aside to join him on the couch. I think I might have a few minutes to spare for a donut and a latte. The sweet taste of chocolate meets my tongue, and I look at Ian in disbelief. Is this a mocha cappuccino? Yeah, I remember you saying at some point you liked those. He bites into a donut, as if it's no big deal that he remembered my favorite drink. A saying crosses my mind at that moment. Something about how men who know how a woman takes her coffee, also knowing how to please her in bed, and I cough. Are you okay? Was I wrong? I rack my brain for a way to retrieve my mind from the gutter, but as I get lost in Ian's beautiful eyes, my mind goes blank. I'm fine. This is wonderful, is all I can manage. We reach for the same donut, and as our fingers brush, he chuckles. Please help yourself. But if you eat the entire box, I'll have more than enough material to win the roast. Oh, ha ha, I mock, shoving the rest of the powdery substance into my mouth. Is that what this is about? A bribe so I tell you all of my secrets and give you more material while I do it? I take another sip of the coffee as he places the donut box on my desk. The lighthearted atmosphere in the room takes a swift turn, and Ian's sapphire irises smolder into mine. Well, he whispers, what secrets do you have? I'm once again at a loss for words, and I choke out a reply, unable to tear myself away from his gaze. Wouldn't you like to know? I'm all ears. Our faces are incredibly close. I can feel his breath on my lips. I'm instantly reminded of last night when I succumbed to the urge to kiss him. I may do it again. Your eyes, they're beautiful, I say instead. Is that so? He seems amused. I thought you didn't like me. His fingers hover beside my jaw, and I can almost hear his internal debate as he contemplates touching me. When his hand drops back to his side, disappointed seeps into my belly. What gave you that idea? A second passes, and then we share a laugh. More than a few things come to mind, he says with a smirk. Oh, come on, I begin, turning away from him in hopes of easing the growing sexual tension. You're not actually as big of a jerk as I first suspected. I pull another donut out of the box to occupy my mouth so I don't embarrass myself any further. I could say the same about you. Maybe we didn't meet in the best of circumstances, and perhaps it doesn't help that we're competitors. But working with you to bring happiness to the children has made me see you in a different light. It's a touching sentiment, and though I'm one more donut away from pressing my lips to his and making love to him on this couch, I force myself to dial it back a bit. How sweet. You know, I might even be starting to like you, just a little bit. I'm sure that's because of my charming personality. His face lights up at my admission, and I can't help but appreciate the perfect symmetry of his features. No, probably just your handsome face and sexy body. As soon as the words escape my mouth, I'm mortified, and I wait for him to tell me he's reporting me to human resources. He doesn't, though, and instead surprises me by sliding closer. I can't blame you. I am pretty sexy, Ian teases. I might be starting to like you too, just a little bit, but take that with a grain of salt because I also like dogs and fast cars. The confession makes me laugh and think of Hugh, and part of me wonders if the two will like each other when they meet. I catch myself, if they meet, not when. If you like dogs, I have a pretty cute pup back at my place. Are you inviting me to your place, Jazmin Landers? My competitor leans in with his lidded, lust-filled eyes focused on mine. I simply shrug, parting my lips as we sit in silence. I'll take that as a yes, he breathes, and before I can reply, his mouth is on mine. Our tongues tangle, my fingers forming a fist within his hair as I pull him closer. A moan slips out when he deepens the kiss. This is what my mind has been craving ever since I set eyes on Ian Carmichael, and my body acts on its own to ensure I savor it. Just as I feel him begin to pull away, a thin trail of saliva between our swollen lips serving as evidence of our kiss, I remember that we're at work. I jump up, smoothing down my pencil skirt. So for the fundraiser? I don't think that should be part of the roast. The kids, they wouldn't understand. He seems to realize at the same time I do that we're still in the office. With a look that conveys equal parts embarrassment and arousal, he stands and raises a finger in thought. I think you're right. For a moment, I think he's going to say something else, but he only closes his mouth and hurries out the door. I'm left alone with an empty donut box, wondering if the entire morning was just a ploy to distract me from improving my business. But as I start rummaging through the advertising plans again, I take a sip of my mocha cappuccino and raise a silent toast to Ian Carmichael. Whatever his plan was, it worked, and I'm all the more interested to see what he does next.
Chapter 14. Ian. I make a hasty exit from her office, but only because she jumped like I'd shot her instead of kissed her. If things had gone the way I truly wanted, I'd still be there kissing her, feeling her smart mouth against mine. Her office is close to my place, so I walk home, my thoughts filled with her. I can't stop thinking of her gorgeous green eyes that sparkle like emeralds, her fiery hair, and her lithe body, curved in all the right places. My mind wanders off as I think about all the fun things she and I could do together, both inside the bedroom and out. And I walk right by my building. When I finally realize what I've done, another realization hits me at the same time. Somehow, someway, I've fallen in love with her. She's completely wrecked me, with her amazing looks and sarcastic sense of humor and how she gives as good as she gets. All I want is to be with her. The problem is, for some reason I can't quite figure out, she's extremely skittish. I don't know how much more forward I can be, or what else I can do to make her more comfortable around me, or make her realize I really like her. I flirted excessively with her. Brought her her favorite type of coffee, which I actually remembered. Thank you very much. And I kissed her for crying out loud. How is it that she doesn't see that I'm serious about this? About us? I double back to my apartment, still in disbelief that I completely bypassed it because I can't stop thinking about her. No woman has ever made me forget where I lived before. I've definitely got it bad. When I get inside, I'm greeted by Mr. Jinx, meowing at me loudly, waiting for his dinner. I feed him and throw myself down on the couch, determined to come up with a plan to win her. I'm not quite sure what I can do, which frustrates me. I run a successful dating website, damn it, I should be so much better at this. I could ask her to a movie, but that's a bad idea because we can't talk in a movie theater. Dinner would be nice, but so cliché. Hot air balloon ride. Don't be stupid, Ian. She's already wary of you. What do you want to do? Actually scare her to death? I'm also kind of worried if I ask her out, she'll say no. I don't want to force her into anything. Definitely not my style. But I'd rather not give her the opportunity to shoot me down. But how do I go about asking her out without asking her out? I get off the couch to pace around my apartment, grabbing a tiny toy basketball and bouncing it off the floor and the walls only to catch it and repeat the process all over again. It helps me focus and calms me down. Once I'm in the kitchen, I throw it a little too hard against the far wall and it ricochets over to my wine rack, nearly knocking it over. Jinx yowls and skitters out of the way, taking off down the hallway like a shot, giving me a glare as he goes. The combination of the wine rack and Jinx's bolt gives me an idea that just might work. I abandon the ball and head to the bathroom. I shower and shave quickly, giving myself the once-over in the mirror when I'm done. Not that I'm into myself or anything, but I've never had a problem with the ladies. My thick, chocolate brown hair and deep blue eyes are a classic combination. And when you add in my toned body, I can't think of a woman alive who'd kick me out of bed. Well, other than Jazmin Landers, that is. But I'm not going to give her the opportunity to do so. Before she knows it, she'll be wrapped around my finger. I get dressed, throwing on a pair of dark rinsed jeans and a crisply pressed button-down shirt that accentuates my chest and biceps. Clearly, there's more to me than just my muscles. I'm the CEO of a successful business after all. But I might as well showcase the goods. For the finishing touch, I spritz a bit of cologne on my chest. Ridiculously, it's called BAM. But it smells great, which is why I continue to use it. From the data we collect via the Love Connection app, I know women love a man who smells amazing, so I'll take all the assists I can get. Before leaving the apartment, I return to the kitchen and crouch down in front of the wine rack, taking stock of what I've got on hand. I finally settle on a bottle of Chardonnay, selecting it not only because it's a classic, but also because I've pegged Jasmine as a white wine girl. If I'm wrong, I'll be surprised. The walk to her place takes me less than 15 minutes, likely because my nervous energy could power a third-world country. I enter the lobby to her building, thankful she'd previously mentioned where she lived to me before, and check the mailboxes for her name. Kay Landers is revealed to live in apartment 712. Hope getting her to agree to date me is as easy as this. I tell the doorman that I'm here to see Jasmine, and he waves me inside without so much as a nod. It seems like the elevator takes forever to bring me up to her floor. Once I'm standing in front of her door, I take a deep breath, steeling myself for whatever comes, and lift a hand to knock. But then I freeze. What if she's not home? What if she looks through the peephole and sees it's me and pretends she's not home? Come on, Carmichael, I say to myself. She's not going to do that. You got this. I don't give myself another second of hesitation. My knuckles meet the door, rapping 3 times in quick succession. Here goes nothing.
Chapter 15. Jasmine. I'm definitely not expecting the knock on my door at 8 p.m., but curiosity gets the better of me, and before I know it, I'm checking the peephole. When I look through it and see Ian standing on the other side, a bottle of wine in hand, and looking so damn good, my heart starts slamming in my chest. For a minute, I freeze. What's he doing here? How does he know where I live? Did I invite him over and forget that I did? No, that definitely doesn't seem like something I'd do. I'm way too organized for that. So if I didn't invite him, what the hell is he doing on my doorstep? Despite myself, I want to know, so I open the door, not caring in the least that he looks amazing, and I look like I'm ready for bed. His face lights up when he sees me, his smile reaching right up to his gorgeous eyes. The scent of him wafts over to me, crisp and clean and woodsy, and something like desire tugs at my core. What are you doing here? I ask bluntly, not caring enough to check my tone. It comes out sounding rude, but I know I never told him where I live, so this is bordering on creepy. I'm sorry for just showing up, he starts. But I wanted to see you, and I thought if I asked to see you, you'd just say no. So here I am. Clever. I can appreciate that. But how do you know where I live? I ask, crossing my arms over my chest and looking up into his face. God, it's so irritating that he's so tall. If we keep running into each other, I'm going to have to see my chiropractor more often, just to readjust my spine from having to look up at him all the time. Irritating and hot, that is. You told me what building you live in, remember? I just checked the mailboxes for your name, he says with a confident yet smug smile. Very clever. Can I come in? He asks. I should say no. I should tell him to take his bottle of wine and shove it, but that would be too rude. I step aside and let him in. Honestly, Jasmine, you should consider moving to a more secure building. I literally just walked right in here, he says, a hint of teasing in his voice. There are a lot of dangerous people in this world. Are you one of those dangerous people? I mean, you're kind of stalking me, I tell him, cocking an eyebrow as I look him over. He looks great. His clothes are perfectly tailored to his amazing body. I mean, he's shaped like a god, with his broad shoulders and narrow waist. That hair, I just want to run my hands through it, even though I know I shouldn't. And his mouth is distracting the hell out of me with his teasing talk and easy smile. I could be dangerous, he says. I mean, if you want me to be. The grin he gives me is more like a smirk, seductive enough that it makes my heart flip. I struggle to control my breathing as he lifts the bottle and asks if I'm interested in having a drink with him. Here? I ask incredulously, shocked by his confidence. I can't believe he just assumed he could show up at my apartment, but I've never backed down from a challenge. Of course here. Where else would we go? He asks, Fine, I agree. I take the bottle from him and head to the kitchen to open it. He watches me uncork it and pour us each a glass. Thank God he doesn't do something as ridiculous as propose a toast. I lead him over to the couch, only because I want to be comfortable, and sitting at my tiny dining room table is anything but, and settle down next to him, close but not too close. So, what do you want to talk about? I ask. The roast? Want some pointers? I'd rather talk about you, he says. I kissed you and you kind of freaked out, and I want to know why. I can't help the scoff that comes out of me. I'm just not interested in dating anyone, I tell him. That's fine. I can be interested enough for the both of us, he says. I don't think that's how dating works, I respond. Maybe you should just give me a chance and see where this goes, he says. Maybe he's right. We quickly work our way through the bottle, inching closer to each other with every refill of our glasses. By the time it's completely drained, he's got one hand on my cheek and the other on my waist. My body is humming under his touch. I'm going to kiss you again, he says. Don't freak out this time. I won't, I whisper and close my eyes. His lips are so soft, tender against mine. He kisses me once, twice, and then his tongue darts out to lick my bottom lip. I'd open my mouth to him, and he delves inside, tasting me. He tastes like wine and something else, just like Ian. I hate to put a stop to a good time, but it looks like we've hit this platform's limit for spiciness.
This platform's got some rules we have to play by if we want to keep giving you these stories for free.
And trust me, this scene isn't something you want to miss.
While we can't get into all the details here, you can still dive into the full, uncut version at tylerwalker.com.
Miss Tyler has an entire collection of unabridged audiobooks and ebooks waiting for you.
And the best part? You can treat yourself with 40% off when you use the code SAVE40.
That's right. You'll save on any digital product, even bundles that are already discounted.
Miss Tyler would never let anyone feel the kind of disappointment you must be feeling right now.
So why wait? Treat yourself with Miss Tyler. He immediately notices how quiet I've become. What's going on in that beautiful brain of yours? He asks. I just don't know if it's wise to mix business and pleasure, I say before I can stop myself. There goes my stupid mouth again. He doesn't say anything for what feels like the longest minute, and then nods. Okay, well, you let me know if you ever change your mind, he says. I sit up as he rises from the bed, watching as he pulls his clothes back on. He kisses me once more on the forehead and then leaves the room. Before I can stop him, I hear the door to my apartment click shut, echoing through the emptiness in my heart.
Chapter 16, Ian. After I leave her, I stand in the lobby of Jasmine's apartment building and call for a cab. They say it will be a few minutes, but by this point I'm just desperate to leave. What was I thinking, coming to her apartment tonight? As the cab pulls up, I get in and lean my head against the cool window. Not much traffic tonight, the cab driver remarks, but I can only bring myself to grunt in response, turning to watch the streetlights blur as we speed along the empty streets. It's raining heavily for the first time in a while, and the raindrops bounce off the windows and into the gutters. I wind the window down and put my hand out, feeling the coolness of the water trickle soothingly through my fingers. It's not an awfully long ride from Jasmine's apartment to mine, and I think about how close our lives were even before we had even noticed each other that first time. We live a few blocks away from each other. We own the same type of business. We even work in the same building. I scoff to myself. It's almost like fate is trying to tell us something. As we pull up in front of my apartment building, I tip the driver and climb the steps to the main entrance slowly. I try to knock some sense into myself and think about all of this logically. I know Jasmine has a point that we're each other's main competition, and it might be bad for business if the charity roast doesn't go well, but I'm so torn between my logical business sense and these feelings growing in my chest. I can't stop thinking about her dazzling green eyes and beautiful smile. I nod to the concierge and step into the elevator. As I wait for the doors to close, I try to get a grip over myself. I have to think about how hard I've worked to get here, and how much I could lose if things go wrong. As soon as I open the door to my apartment and step inside, I kick off my shoes before cracking open a beer and slumping in front of the TV. I try to rid my mind of all thoughts of Jasmine, but it doesn't work. In all truth, I haven't been able to stop thinking of that firecracker of a woman since the moment our paths crossed in that elevator. It's quite ironic, really, isn't it? The owner of the best dating app in the city is now just a lovesick fool. I close my eyes, but I can still see her in my mind. I stand up and start pacing around my apartment, trying to figure out what I should do. I don't even see Jasmine as a competitor anymore, and haven't for a long time. Instead of just seeing her business, I see her, and I can easily picture her standing by my side, her hand in mine. I don't know why I'm feeling this way, though. I am a businessman, first and foremost. I've built my app from the ground up, and I can't imagine doing anything else with my life. This is so important to me, so why am I allowing myself to get distracted? I groan as I throw myself back down onto the couch. I'm not usually like this when it comes to women, but I just can't help myself. I know I've fallen in love with Jasmine, but after what she said tonight, I'm starting to lose hope that she feels the same way. She's right, of course, that us being together is a bad idea, but I still want her. I think about how hard I've worked to get to where I am today. Sleepless nights developing the app, all those meetings and presentations to try and raise the funds I needed, and more recently all the fundraisers and formals to raise my profile. Now, all that work is finally paying off, and I can enjoy the success I've built from the ground up all by myself. I can't afford to lose everything just for a pretty face and a quick-witted tongue, no matter how much I want her. That's why I have to stop thinking about Jasmine and start concentrating on winning this bet. I want to raise money for the charity, of course, but winning this whole thing isn't about that anymore. If I win the roast, I'll show everyone watching that my app is the best in the business, bringing God knows how many new clients in. It would really catapult us up in the industry. Getting my name on that playroom door is just a bonus, really. The main thing is to prove myself and prove the love connection's superiority over soulmates. I can't deny, however, that it would be a good feeling to beat Jasmine, too. I think of her face, remembering her gorgeous eyes flashing in anger when we first met, and sat down to discuss this whole crazy plan. I knew then that she was just as determined as I am and that she wouldn't take any crap from anybody. That's part of what attracts me to her. I smile as I remember how she called me out in the elevator for knocking into her, and then again at the formal dinner. At that point, I would have been glad to have never set eyes on her again. And now look how that's changed. As I got to know her, I realized how warm, funny, and smart she is, and how similar we both are. But now I might have blown it with her completely, and although I should be glad that the distractions are over, I know I'm anything but happy. I wonder if I'll see her at the office tomorrow, or if the next time we meet will be at the roast. I'm more nervous than I should be, but I know there's only one thing I can do. Move on, win the roast, and then I'll never have to think about Jasmine ever again. I sigh again as I head to bed to try and get some rest before tomorrow. If only things were truly that simple.
Chapter 17. Jazmine. I checked my reflection in the lobby windows for the 20th time, fluffing up my hair and rubbing my lips together to try and get my lipstick looking perfect. I don't know why I'm doing this or why I feel so nervous. Actually, I know exactly why. I'm just trying to delay walking into the office building, trying to delay seeing Ian and the inevitable conversation we have to have. I'm trying so hard not to think about last night, but I just can't get him out of my mind. As I walk into the building and get into the elevator, pushing the button for his floor rather than mine, I fold and refold his jacket in my hands. I'm still trying to stop thinking about him when I step out onto the floor and approach his receptionist. Hi, is Ian here? I was hoping I could speak with him, if he's not busy. I wonder briefly whether it's too late to just leave and come back later, but when I look up, the door is already opening, and he is standing in the entrance to his office. His receptionist hasn't even picked up the phone, so he must have been waiting on the other side of the door. Waiting for me? Jasmine, I need to stop looking into his beautiful eyes. It's making this a lot harder than it needs to be. In and out, Jasmine. Just get in and out. Say your piece and we can all move on from this mess. I didn't mean to brush his arm with mine as I walked past him into the office, but the contact does nothing to dispel the atmosphere of awkwardness hanging in the air between us. The tension has never been this bad before, not even when we were rivals and hated each other. Well, we're still rivals, I guess. I'm not sure I can say I still hate him, though. I brought your jacket. How are you? We speak at the same time, and I bite my lip. It wasn't awkward like this last night, was it? I hold out the jacket, but he doesn't take it. He's still looking at me with those deep, sparkling eyes, and I'm worried that if I look at him for too long, I'll get lost in them. I turn to drape the jacket over his desk chair instead, more so that I can break eye contact than anything else. Listen, Ian. I hesitate, but know I need to plow on. Ian, listen. You already said that. I didn't realize how close he was until he spoke, and I jump when I feel his breath on my neck. It's stupid how a man can make me feel like a schoolgirl again. And not just any man, but the owner of my biggest competition. If I didn't know better, I'd think fate was poking fun at me or something. Last night was a mistake. Once I get the first bit out, the rest is easy. As long as I don't turn around to face him, that is. What happened between us? Well, it just shouldn't have happened. You're a nice man, Ian. You're more than nice. You're so much more than I expected you to be, but I didn't realize I was picking at my baby pink nail polish until I felt his hand take mine and gently pull my fingers away from each other. I finally turn around. He isn't going to make this easy, is he? Ian, this is just a super busy time for me. Too busy. I have to focus on my business right now. I just have to. This is important to me. And I can't let it all go to hell just for... Again, I break off, but this time he finishes my sentence for me. For a man? Or just for me? I shake my head sadly. I'm sorry. I am. It's just not the right time. Don't worry about the whole charity thing. I'll think of some way to get them the money so we won't have to face each other on that show. I don't know. I'll say I'm intimidated by your jokes, that I don't think my Jolly Green Giant quips can possibly stand up to your short ones. I'm sorry, Ian. I really am. An embarrassingly large part of me thinks that he will stop me as I turn to leave, and an even bigger part is disappointed when he steps back to allow me past. On instinct, I reach up to kiss his cheek softly before hurrying out of the office and into the elevator. It takes all of my self-control not to turn around again. Back in my own office, I sit at my desk and try to think of a good excuse for pulling out of the charity roast this late. But instead, I just start to wonder, why exactly Ian agreed to the roast in the first place? Was it really just because he cared so much about the charity and wanted to raise that extra money for them? Or did he have some ulterior motives? What if the reason he didn't stop me leaving was because he only wanted to do this roast so he could get me into bed with him? Or worse, what if everything that had happened was just some twisted plan to humiliate me? Was this all just good advertising for his business at the expense of mine? No, I definitely made the right choice. My business is my baby, and I have to focus on that right now. This whole fundraising idea was just one big mistake, but it's over and done with now. Ian will move on, and I'm going to move on too. I'll just walk away from this whole affair, keep building up my dating agency to be the best in the city, or at least a better than the love connection, and I'll think of some other way to raise this money. I don't need Ian. This is for the best. I thought I was getting a fake marriage, but I didn't know my story was being told by Miss Tyler.
This isn't just any fake marriage, now is it?
No, you introduced me to the devil.
Come on, girl, Jacob isn't that bad.
Oh, I love Jacob. His family, on the other hand,
Beggars can't be choosers, Nyla. You should be grateful I even let Jacob Stone look your way.
I just wanted to save my granddaddy. Is that so bad? Why couldn't you let this be a normal fake marriage? Instead, you put me in a twisty story filled with money, betrayal, power, and lies.
Let's not forget love.
That's what keeps me going. But not gonna lie, Miss Tyler. This story you got me in ain't the simple fake marriage, happy ending I thought it would be.
It's not. Because where would be the fun in that?
Treat yourself to Say Less I Love You. Tuesdays and Thursdays. New seasons premiere every month. Or skip the wait and grab the full series bundle from TylerWalker.com. Treat yourself with Miss Tyler.
Chapter 18. Ian. Here I was thinking I wouldn't see Jasmine again for a while when Scott, the organizer of the roast, calls us both in for a meeting. When I arrive, she's already there waiting, looking way too good. My heart leaps at the sight of her, and then falls again when I remember how she shot me down completely. I take a seat across from Jasmine at the long boardroom table, unable to take my eyes off her. She looks nervous, and I can tell she's waiting for the opportunity to tell Scott she wants to back out. But he keeps prattling on about how excited he is about the event, how he's got tons of people lined up to assist with the phones, and several donors set up, ready and willing to throw money at whomever comes up with the best insults. The more he talks, the smaller she becomes. Even though she's tiny, she's never really looked tiny because she has such a big attitude. She sinks down in her seat as the minutes tick by, and I know I've got to save her somehow. I'm really happy to hear everything is going well, I say, interrupting Scott. But do you think maybe we could make this thing bigger if we just push it back a little bit? Jasmine's eyes flick up to mine. There's a strange look in them, almost something like gratitude. You know, I was thinking the same thing, she says. If we had a little more time, we could maybe make it even better. If no one's interested in that, I can cover any losses. I'm a little worried that we rushed into this. It's for a great cause, and I want to make sure we give it what it's due. Scott's face falls immediately. Are you guys backing out on me, on the kids? He asks, eyeing us both warily. The kids. Right. No, not at all. I start, but Jasmine interrupts me. Definitely not. Forget we said anything. We'll be ready to go, don't worry, she says. I can tell she's definitely not going to be ready to go, but she's too proud to back out now. There's a whole hospital of kids depending on her, not to mention the publicity this will give her business. I just have to figure out some why to make her comfortable with it. Agreed. We'll be ready, I tell Scott, and rise from my chair to signal the meeting's over. That night, as I look out from backstage at the packed room, my stomach flips nervously. I know I've got this. I'm hilarious, after all. And Jasmine's an easy mark with her short stature and quick temper. But I'm worried for her. I care about her, and it's not easy to do something that you'd rather not, especially when others are depending on you. The show starts right on time, with Scott coming to the stage to introduce us. He gives The Love Connection a great plug and calls my name. I come onto the stage to roaring applause and a few catcalls. I guess I have some fans in the audience. Scott does the same for Jasmine and Soulmates, and when she joins us I can't help but chuckle at how comical we must look. Me, a living representation of the Jolly Green Giant, minus the green part, and her a real-life Tinkerbell. She looks fantastic in a tight dress that hugs every curve, and thankfully she's wearing a pair of killer heels. So I immediately give her the gears. I see you're wearing heels tonight, Jasmine. Had to make sure I could hear you all the way up here, huh? I ask, grinning. How it is you can even see me with your head all the way up there in the clouds, she returns. We continue bantering back and forth, and with every insult she slings at me, my attraction to her grows. She puts on a great show. The audience loves her, and how she portrays me as a big, dumb oaf. I never thought I'd fall for someone like her, with her smart mouth and copious amounts of sass. Midway through the roast, I realize that I'm going to do something incredibly stupid. It might backfire spectacularly, but I'm willing to give it a go. Pretty funny that a guy who runs a dating service called The Love Connection has no connections in sight, she says, one of her delicate eyebrows cocked and waiting for my response, setting me up perfectly. Well, I think that's because I've actually been looking for my soulmate, I say, laying it on the line. And to be honest, I think I've found her. I watch as shock settles over her and she stumbles over her words. She tries and fails to cue up her next burn, stuck on my confession. Believe me, before we started all this, I never thought I'd fall in love with a short, spunky, sarcastic elf. But here we are. You can insult me all you want, and I'll just keep coming back, I tell her, so lay it on me. She completely freezes, microphone in hand, looking like the proverbial deer caught in the proverbial headlights. The audience is completely silent, as if every single person here is holding their collective breath, waiting for her to speak. This was a bad idea, I think. This was a horrible, horrible idea. She's going to kill me. Not on stage, of course, because it would ruin her business. But eventually she's going to kill me. I watch her cautiously, knowing the gears are turning in her head at lightning speed, trying to figure out what kind of game I'm playing. But there's no game. There's only how much I want to be with her, and hope that she finally realizes that our coming together wasn't a mistake. It was fate, and all she needs to do is trust me and take a leap of faith. You've got nothing to say, Jasmine? Are you coming up short? I ask. It's too good of a shot not to take.
Chapter 19. Jasmine. The snarky retort that was about to leave my lips freezes like ice on the tip of my tongue. The microphone in my hand nearly falls to the floor. Shock must be written clearly across my face, but he just stands there, eyebrows raised, grin spread wide across his stupidly handsome face, daring me to respond. There's no way that I heard him correctly, right? He couldn't have possibly said that he's fallen in love with me. Is he mad, for Pete's sake? Wait, did he call me a short elf? Who in the hell tells someone that they love them by insulting them? He has to be crazy. I can't believe that there's any way he could possibly be serious. But I thought we weren't going to do anything like that. We agreed. A kiss would only confuse the kids. A declaration of love. That's just plain insanity. I can't get my body to work. My mind is a jumbled mess of confusion. My heart races in my chest as though I've just run a marathon and am sprinting the final 100 feet to the finish line. How am I even supposed to reply to that? I swear to God, the audience is holding their breaths waiting for me to respond. The silence is a deafening roar in my ears as I search his face in desperation. There's not even a hint of doubt hidden amongst his features. That wasn't funny, I choke out, not sure if I'm referring to the declaration or the insult. It wasn't meant to be, he says, a steely determination set in the cerulean depths of his eyes. Well, I guess maybe the part about being a short elf wasn't really funny, but the part about being in love with you, that's the truth, without a doubt. Jasmine, you're the woman I've spent an entire lifetime looking for. I am so in love with you. I can't hold back the stupid grin that plasters itself across my lips. I've fallen in love with you too. Of course, you're such a big jerk that I've tried very hard not to fall in love with you. I guess I'm not as tough as I thought I was. The audience erupts into ear-splitting applause. They are laughing and crying tears of joy. Even the kids are laughing, while tears continue to fill their sweet little eyes. A piercing whistle comes from somewhere off stage, as the entire studio is affected by our affirmation of love. I can't believe that Ian and I being in love is such a huge deal to so many people, especially since there was never a time that I wanted to find love for myself. Love has always ever just been about my business, about building up soulmates and making it succeed. I never imagined that I could ever benefit from it personally. Now, with love staring me down in front of an entire studio audience, I don't ever want to be without it. Yeah, you really aren't that tough, Ian says slyly. You're like a teeny little bunny, and I'm the carrot you can't hop away from. You know what they say about falling in love? I ask him. What's that? Ian grins. The bigger you are, the harder you fall, I say, as the audience tears once again turn into laughter. Oh, really? He asks. Well, perhaps you, who has such a low center of gravity, hasn't been able to catch love until now because it was always flying too high over your head. What kind of a name is the love connection for an app anyway? I ask. Are you trying to connect people or theoretical concepts? What about soulmates? He asks. Sounds more like a hookup site for ghosts. At least if I'm with you, I can pass the go big or go home concept. I laugh. I definitely passed that one. He responds with a chuckle that sends eclectic waves pulsing through my veins. The audience is in stitches, laughing hysterically and nudging the person sitting next to them. I've never seen such big smiles across the kids' faces before. Some of them have been sick for so long that I worried maybe they didn't have anything to smile about. Now they look as though they've never seen a hard day in their lives. You two look like Atlas fell in love with Tinkerbell, yells out one of the kids up front. What do you call the giant who fell from the beanstalk? Shouts a tall boy in the back. Without waiting for a response, he adds, Love struck. What did the fox say to the ladybug? Asks a small girl sitting in the front, obviously referring to Ian's and my difference in size. What? Asked the boy next to her. I love you, she squeals with laughter. I've got one too, hollers a boy sitting in a wheelchair. Knock, knock. Who's there? Shouts the entire audience. Jasmine, he grins. Jasmine who? The audience choruses. Ian wouldn't Jasmine bit as long as he can love her. Everyone cracks up, clapping and whooping. The audience continues their roast of the two of us. Ian and I throw a rogue comment out periodically. I don't think any of us foresaw the night turning out like this. We were hoping for success, but it's absolutely amazing. The phone lines are ringing off the hook. The glowing numbers across the board on the wall continue to climb upward as donation after donation is called in. When we reach the goal amount with no end in sight, the crowd explodes. Clapping and hooting in exhilaration. We did it! Ian steps over to me, cupping my face between his hands. He brushes a thumb under one of my eyes. Stealing the tear that was hovering on the precipice, he presses his lips to mine as I laugh through the happiest tears I've ever cried. My heart fills as the cheers melt into the background. The only thing I feel is his lips, his hands, his love. This is it, baby. This is what you can get me that'll make me happy.
You know I'll get you whatever you want. All you need to do is ask me and I'll give it to you.
This ain't just it. This is everything I could ever want.
Now I'm curious. What does a strong, sassy woman like yourself want so badly?
Baby, you know what I want?
I can't wait to hear.
The Big Baddie Bundle from Tyler Walker. It has everything I need.
20 ebooks with over 1 million words of sassy romance and spice that'll keep you on your toes.
10 audiobooks containing over 60 hours of that seductive voice telling me naughty things all night long.
You don't need an audiobook for that, baby. Right here.
You may be fine and all, but no one tells it like the way Miss Tyler does. And I need her in my life.
The Big Baddie Bundle is everything you need. You can get it for 80% off.
Go to TylerWalker.com to browse the bundles that earn you the best deals.
It's time you treat yourself, because you deserve it.
Escape your life with Miss Tyler.
Chapter 20. Ian. When I finally pull my lips away from Jasmine's, the crowd is still going wild. They love us. Apparently enough to donate double the amount we were trying to raise. I'm floored by the number that's flashing across the wall. "We did it!" I exclaim. "We sure did!" She breathes in agreement. The organizer walks up and claps me on the back, shaking my hand before reaching over to squeeze Jasmine's shoulder. "That was amazing, you two. I can't believe what you've accomplished tonight. There's more than enough money for the playrooms to be built. Thank you." "You're welcome," Jasmine and I both laugh in unison. "And congratulations," he says as he starts to walk away. "You two make a great couple. Take care of each other." "We will, sir. Thank you," I respond. We stand there amongst the crowd as kids, parents, and hospital staff surround us. They offer thanks for helping to raise so much, along with congratulations to the two of us finding love. As the crowd starts to disperse and the kids return to their rooms, I still can't wipe the smile that stretches across my lips. I can't remember every feeling so happy and content before. "Jasmine, Ian," says a young girl. Her head is shiny, void of hair, and dark circles frame her large chestnut eyes. "Hi, sweetheart." Jasmine crouches down so she's eye level with the girl. "Thank you so much for helping us. I can't wait until I can play in the new playroom," she says. Her mom is standing a few feet away, her hands clasped in front of her chest and tears glisten in her eyes. "You're so very welcome." I can hear the quiver in Jasmine's voice and place my palm between her shoulder blades. She breathes heavily. "I'm so glad we were able to help." "But what are you going to do now?" asks the girl. "You can't be rivals in business if you're in love. It would ruin the story." Jasmine and I both chuckle and her head turns to me. An imploring gaze is fixed across her pixie features. "What do you think?" "I guess the only option is to merge our companies together," I answer, and the little girl squeals with delight. We hash out all the details in the car ride back to my apartment. The process will take a little time, but we'll let the clients know that they'll still be getting the same great service as before. That's something that both Jasmine and I aren't willing to negotiate on. We don't foresee any negative drawback, especially because the pool of potential partners to choose from will be exponentially bigger. The fact that I'll get to spend every day working with Jasmine will be considered an executive bonus incentive. That elicits a chuckle from her perfect lips.
I hate to put a stop to a good time, but it looks like we've hit this platform's limit for spiciness.
This platform's got some rules we have to play by if we want to keep giving you these stories for free.
And trust me, this scene isn't something you want to miss.
While we can't get into all the details here, you can still dive into the full, uncut version at TylerWalker.com.
Miss Tyler has an entire collection of unabridged audiobooks and ebooks waiting for you.
And the best part? You can treat yourself with 40% off when you use the code SAVE40.
That's right. You'll save on any digital product, even bundles that are already discounted.
Miss Tyler would never let anyone feel the kind of disappointment you must be feeling right now.
So why wait? Treat yourself with Miss Tyler.